it's like everything has come into full color and I am experiencing a different world in a way. Yes, I still live in my home. I still have my same office, but I carry myself differently. I feel different. I talk. I feel like I'm even speaking differently. I look at myself in the mirror and I don't even recognize myself.
Welcome to the Spiral Up podcast. I'm your host, Dr. LaChelle Wieme, a peak performance coach and business strategist dedicated to helping you see what's possible within you, the blind spots that are holding you back, and the solutions to ensure success and fulfillment without the hustle. I use my secret sauce of metaphysics, brain science, and scripture to work with God to manifest your ideal life and business. If you're ready to create massive forward momentum in your business and bust through the blocks that drag you down, join me on the Spiral Up journey and create the clarity, confidence, and consistency to become the CEO that lives your life by design. It's time to create the sustainable impact, income, and time freedom you desire faster. Now is the time to spiral up.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Spiral Up podcast. I'm your host, Dr. LaChelle Wieme. You guys are going to get a chance to meet one of my dear, dear friends, Noelle Kustas. You guys, she is like my soul sister. And we spent a week together on this amazing cruise. And I was just on her podcast and I'm like, we should do a podcast swap. And so we can just continue this conversation because I just love her so much. And I cannot wait for you all to get a chance to hear from her again. She's been on the Spiral Up podcast before. I don't even know if you were ever on the Unstuck podcast, but I've been doing this show for so long that I know you've been on several times. And it's just like every single time you and I get a chance to get together, there's so much synergy and passion that comes out of it that I'm like, well, other people need to be a part of our conversation too.
So fun. And I love how we're so impromptu today.
Yeah, we're just going with it, right? Okay, you guys. So when Noelle was introducing me on her show just a couple of minutes ago, it was so freaking fun because she basically says similar things that I do. So Noelle, why don't you tell us how you love to show up in the world? What lights you up these days?
I love it. I love it. So, hi, everybody. I am so excited. And I'm always honored when LaChelle asks me to come into her world and be in her space because I know it's very special and it's just magical. So I am so excited to be here today. Yes, my name is Noelle Kustas. I am first and foremost a mom and a wife, and that is my love. Definitely love language is being able to express that and live in that space. But I also really love to show up as I like to say, I'm kind of changing it up a little bit because I love it. Saying what it is that I love, and it is being a community curator and just curating spaces for women to be together and to really just help them become the favorite version of themselves. And that is just what my passion is these days, and I am just loving it.
And I don't know if like it's from conversations that we've had or if it was just like my brain was like, she's a community curator. Like maybe that's before you even said it. And I'm just like, that's what you do. You are so good about gathering people and just drawing out amazing conversations with people and just drawing out amazing things within people. And it's just really, really fun to watch that. And I just thought we would have a really great, candid conversation today about a couple of experiences that we've been having together. One of them is the cruise. I mean, I'm just going to give you a shout out first off. You guys, I had earned a cruise with this company that I work with, Energy. It's amazing. And it has changed the game for me. People that have known me before I used it have told me that I have an edge, and it's attributed to this technology that I use. And so I earned this cruise to go with the founder of the company, and I was only one of 10 people who were able to earn this, which is really phenomenal because it just was kind of like something that came with flow and ease and joy. That's what I'm going to say. And my husband couldn't join me because we were going on our spring break cruise the week after. And so he's a teacher. He can't get that time off. And so I decided to open it up to some of the people that also use this technology alongside of me. And Noelle, you earned this spot to come on, but I got to just tell you that everything was just beautifully, divinely orchestrated, that the two of us got a chance to have this experience together. And it was so easy to spend time with you. I'm just going to say, you guys, because I'm an introvert, and for me, I was gone for 3 weeks. I'm gonna be doing, a solo episode about this, and if it comes out after this, just bear with me here, but because this is very impromptu recording that we're doing today. But anyway, I went on a week-long trip right before Noelle and I went on our cruise, and I was staying in the same room with another dear friend, and then you and I spent the week together. We got to sleep in the same bed for a week, which was a surprise, but, like, here we go, right? We
Sorry
really
to
get
our
to know each other.
candies out there.
Yeah. And then, met up with my family. So I was gone for 3 weeks, and I was, with other people in an intimate space for 2 weeks that I normally don't get that space with. And it
Yeah.
was I was just gonna say, like, it was easy. Like,
Mhm.
you just bring light and love and energy to me, and I just gotta say that, we had amazing conversations. We had rest, we had rejuvenation. It was so just like I said, I mean, life doesn't have to be complicated. It was just fun and easy and joyful. And I think
Mhm.
that's probably part of why we both experienced such profound things from that time together.
I could not agree more. Such great points there, because that is not always the case. When you go with someone for a week, you never know. And we have spent time together, but most of our relationship has been built just like this. We have done a
Yes.
lot of work virtually. We live in two separate states. And
Yep.
so this was going to be the first time that we're like rooming together. I've been to your
Yes.
retreat. So I've gotten to spend time with you in that sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, and hello, you're on a cruise, so the rooms are tight.
The rooms are small.
Just for luggage alone, we were like, oh gosh, are we going to be able to fit everything? But we did so good. We did so good.
We totally did.
And we do say that shout out to Princess Cruise Lines, because they do have the best bedding and the best beds like on the planet.
W-
Um,
The best sleep I've ever had.
Totally. And that is what is so wild. But I think you're so onto something when you say that in this experience,
Uh-huh.
it was such a beautiful balance of,
Mhm.
these deep conversations by
Mhm.
the pool, mind you, and, looking
Mhm.
out into this beautiful ocean. I will
Yeah.
say, I'm starting to think that there is something too, and I know there is,
Uh-huh.
you are surrounded by the ocean. And when you
Mhm.
think of the ocean and the energy that brings alone,
Yes.
there was something magical of us sitting there looking out into the ocean. I mean, there was nothing,
Yes.
no land around us.
Yeah.
And we're having these beautiful conversations, but yet at the same time, we were sleeping, like, I'm almost like embarrassed because I go, I came back, I told my husband, I said, babe, I have never slept so much in my life.
I
But
know,
yeah, I
we had,
felt
like, a night or 2 were solid 12 hours. We were, like, out.
we're like, who are we? Who are we here?
And it wasn't even because we were partying, like, it was like we just went to bed and we had the most amazing night's sleep
Right, we
ever.
were the ones that everybody else is like, because our dinners were late, and so we wouldn't get done until like between 9 and 10 o'clock at
Yeah,
night.
yeah.
And everybody else is like, we gotta go, we gotta catch a show. And what are you guys up to? What are you gonna do? We're like, we're going to bed.
Going to bed.
We're going to
Like,
bed.
our bed is telling us. But also
But
the
that
conversations that
helped.
we had, yeah, and the conversations, though, that I had, I think that people oftentimes don't acknowledge how much, like, energy and
Yeah,
brain work happens when you get into really deep conversation, and we
totally.
had, like, timeline shifting conversations that happened.
Yeah,
But I also wanna just acknowledge something real quick, because you said something a moment ago about being on the ocean and being surrounded by water, and how that was a catalyst to this experience.
yeah.
But this is your very first cruise.
Oh yeah. Yes, it
And
was.
tell me, like, what your thought was about cruises prior to this experience.
Yeah, because prior to this experience, had it not been LaChelle, even my own family, my parents are like big cruisers.
Yeah.
They love the cruises, and I am always the one that's like, oh heck no, I am not going on one. The thought of being out on basically a small city on the ocean was terrifying to me for lots of reasons. And truth be told, hilarious, because my biggest fear is that, besides the whole Titanic experience, my biggest fear was I don't want to end up with like a massive virus and all of us are
Yes.
sick and stuck. Well, sir, as soon as we get there, the morning that we were going to get on the ship, they said, sorry, we're going to be a couple hours late because we had a huge virus. It wasn't huge. I mean, I think it was like 150 people out of 5,000.
But
But
still.
truth be told, it was like we're getting all this paperwork that they're giving us, and they're saying we're going to do some extra cleaning. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm just going to look at this as it's going to be extra clean. So therefore,
Uh-huh.
no illness that's going to happen. So, anyways, it was kind of funny. But yeah, it really was not anything that was ever on my wish list to do.
Mhm.
I kind of actually was like, yeah, no, I was very closed off to the
Yeah.
idea
Yeah.
of
Yep.
because of my own fear. And
Yes. And
yeah,
so here I am. I texted you. I'm like, hey, Noelle, like I'm giving people the opportunity to earn this extra spot with
mhm,
me. And I messaged you like, I don't even know, like a month later. And I'm like, hey, just so you know, like you're one of the leaders.
right.
So, and what was it that made you say yes to doing this?
Yeah. So a couple of things that were interesting is when I had gotten that call, again, not even, I was just doing my thing. So
Yeah.
it wasn't even like I was on the radar to go like, oh my gosh, I want to earn this cruise.
Yeah.
That wasn't really a thought process. What was the thought process was how awesome would it be to spend a week with LaChelle? And I knew because of the time that we spend together and just because of who we are, I was like, think I could get past that fear because what an amazing experience this could be. So that was always in the back of
Mhm.
my mind for sure.
Yeah.
And when you had said, hey, you're in the running, like it's like there's a couple of you, but you're in there. I literally, and I think I told you this, I just kind of knew that I was going to be there. I
Mhm.
remember making plans for my following month going, oh, well, I've got to like change that just in case, or I shouldn't book anything because I think I'm going to be on this cruise.
Yeah.
And again, I was just doing my thing. I truly was just
Mhm.
doing my thing.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I kind of had this inner knowing that, like, no, I'm going to be on that cruise. And so it was like my body, it was just kind of like all of me just was embracing it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I didn't really have a lot of time to think about it because before then, fast forward, it was like all of a sudden I'm waking up to a text message and you're like, hey, you got it and you've got the spot. And I remember just
Yes.
crying like it was not the fear, it was just like I was so excited because all I kept thinking of is holy cow, this is going to be an amazing experience with someone that is my mentor, my friend that has coached me through things. And I didn't even know what this was going to really look like for us. I just
Mhm.
went in knowing I wanted to be open
Yeah.
and I just knew it was full of possibility. Yeah,
So, okay, so you got stuck spending with me for a week. Let's but
not
I'm
stuck.
like but I mean, I love that. Thank you so much. Like I received that. Thank you for thinking, gosh, if I could spend a week with LaChelle, I know that this is going to be life changing. And I would love to know, was it? And if so, how?
Yes.
But I'm like, we've already
I
nerded
did
out about
that,
this stuff, but
yes.
I want you guys to hear all of these cool things that Noelle has experienced. So
Oh my gosh. Yes. Well, as a matter of fact, as LaChelle mentioned at the beginning of this podcast, we just recorded a podcast over on mine. And before that, right when I got back, I had actually recorded kind of like the part I'm looking at it now as part one
yeah.
of a massive quantum leap that I had.
Mhm.
And I know those of you that are in LaChelle's world that listen here, you have heard of LaChelle's quantum leap and you have heard about just her journey. And I've told her, I said, it's interesting because I was always fascinated by it and
Mhm.
I was curious about it. There were things that resonated with me, but it still felt like, okay, that was her experience. That's
Mhm.
interesting. That's fascinating
Yeah.
until I went on this trip. And I was like, within 48 hours, my whole life, and I'm not saying this in a way that is fluffy, exaggerated. I mean, I'm being extremely truthful with full integrity that I will say 48 hours into the trip, I already knew that what I had experienced, I would never be able to unsee and that my life was forever changed. And then from there, we just it was like it's been now almost 3 weeks that I've been home.
Yeah.
And literally I told her, I said, I am just a changed human. And that's where we're at. It was incredible.
Okay, so when you say that,
Yeah.
describe to me what that means to you.
Yeah. So I, I went on this cruise, and I will say, just for context, I have been, I was a teacher for 25 years, went through
Mhm,
some really hard, crappy things, if I'm being
mhm,
very honest.
mhm.
A marriage of 19 years that we had to flee from. But I've also experienced some very beautiful things in my life in the
Mhm.
last 10 years. And there's been a transformation that has been happening. And
Mhm.
I decided to retire early from my teaching career about 3.5 years ago. And again, this goes back to a lot of work with LaChelle, helping me to gain that courage to do that and just walking me through this process. So, when I went on the cruise, I had been doing some work. And again, I have transformed in a lot of ways, but there
You
were
have.
still definitely things that I was feeling pulled down. I
Yeah.
felt like I wasn't living in my very favorite version of myself. I was
Mhm.
almost there, but I always felt like there was something more. There were still things that
You
I
described it almost as like you were I remember you telling that like, describe that picture in your mind that you
okay.
have with the fence.
Yeah. So for the last year, I was telling LaChelle, I said, if you can picture, a big fence in your backyard, a wooden fence, I felt like for the last year, I had been like climbing out of like up that fence, like kind of out of this backyard.
Yeah.
And I was just peeking over. And I could see that there were so many more opportunities. And I was a different version, but it was like I was looking in and I was almost there.
Yeah.
And after this experience and what has, happened in the last 2.5 weeks,
Yeah.
I'm like, I have freaking jumped off of that fence, and it's like everything has come into full color, and I am experiencing a different world in a way. Yes,
Yeah.
I still live in my home. I still have my same office, but I carry myself differently,
Mhm.
feel different. I talk, I feel like I'm even speaking differently. I look at
Yes.
myself in the mirror and I don't even recognize myself. I mean, I'm looking at myself in
Yeah.
this, we're doing this virtually, and I am
Yeah.
looking at myself going, I don't even feel like I look like the same person. And the
Yeah.
only thing that has really technically physically changed really is I got a great tan. I mean, I definitely, like, that's the one thing, but I don't see myself as the same,
Mhm.
and I don't feel like others see me the same either, including my
Mhm.
husband. There has been a different energy shift even in that. So
Yes.
it's been wild.
It's been so fun because you'll text me and I always tell her, I'm like, "Keep them coming because they are like the highlight of my day." She'll be like, "Oh my gosh, like this just happened and this person just reached out and this interview just they just messaged me for this and this and this and this." I'm like, "That's amazing." Like
Mhm.
you're literally at a different frequency.
Yeah.
And when we talked about like I never even really talked about my timeline experience while we were on the cruise necessarily. You just experienced your own. And then I've
Right.
been able to validate to you what you're feeling is what I felt as well. It's just like when that happened to me, it was almost like thoughts that I had, limiting beliefs, fears that I had, I could empathize with them, but they didn't feel like mine. They felt like a dear friend had told me about them and I could relate, but they weren't mine. And that
Yeah.
I started to carry myself differently. All of a sudden I had people reaching out to me out of nowhere that were like next level people and things started to shift very, very fast for me.
Mhm.
And that has been what I've been watching you go through over these last few weeks. It's been so much fun.
No, it has. I had told you, I remember saying to you, I go, I think I just need like a daily note to LaChelle, because and not even a daily, literally, like, I probably need to have like a play by play, moment by moment, because even today I was going, I feel like I need to pinch myself because what I have even experienced today and the women that I have met today and what I still get to do today is incredible. And I just kind of keep going like, what's happening? And
Yeah.
but yet I feel it. Like I feel like I'm because it almost feels like you're in an out of body experience in a
Yeah.
way, but yet you're very conscious of everything
Mhm.
happening. And and this is where I'm going, no,
Yeah.
Noelle, you have known that this was right around the corner. That's why you've been peeking over that fence because you knew that this was coming. But it's like now I can carry it, now I can hold it. And oh gosh, it is like,
And it's so much fun, and I'm just gonna say, like, what I see is that it's not that you've become a different person, it's that you're remembering what your soul has always known. Like,
yeah,
you're remembering the highest version of you, and that higher version of you keeps revealing itself, almost like you're shedding new layers and allowing yourself to become most aligned with that beautiful version of your soul that has always been there. But
yeah,
and I always talk about this, the Romans 12:2, do not be conformed to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of our minds. It's like the patterns of this world, the limiting beliefs, the programming, the things that have happened cover up that version of us that's always been there. And yours was able to you were able to shift and shed some of the things that were holding back that version from being able to be seen and acknowledged. But it
mhm,
wasn't even like we didn't have coaching sessions, we didn't do deep work, we didn't do, the
right,
things. We just had really amazing conversations, and you had insights that were like, and other than being on the water that you already mentioned, like,
yeah,
what do you think attributed this? Because what I see is that every day, literally, it was like every day we had this new conversation, and then all of a sudden you're like, "Oh my gosh, like this," and it was like the next day we'd have this other conversation, like, "Oh my gosh, like it's like the next level now." That's how it seemed to be when I was living it with you. I'm just curious, like, what do you think was the contributing factor to this result that you just mentioned?
it's so true because that's one thing I want people to understand. And I don't even know if we got into this on my podcast that it wasn't that we were doing intentional work. We were
Right.
just two girlfriends sitting down having deep conversations.
Mhm,
And again, I always look at things as there are no accidents.
mhm,
And there were definitely things that you would say
mhm,
that would spark something in me. And
mhm,
I remember one time you had shared something about one of your family members
mhm,
that literally all of a sudden I am sobbing. Like I
mhm.
am like tears coming out. And I know that there was a moment where you're looking at me like, okay,
No,
that
no,
just something, but also knowing,
yeah,
like
no, like, I mean,
knowing,
that's just it, and I think that and I when I don't mean to interrupt, but you
yeah,
just
no,
made me think of something that I feel like I need to say for myself, because one of the things that I was asking you, I'm like, "Noelle, like, what is it that I do? Like, I don't even how do I describe?" And
yeah,
you're just like, "LaChelle, you are so intuitive that
yeah,
you just know what story to bring up when, and you know what to say, and you know what question to and ask, and all the things." And what you just said reminded me, like, I just knew that moment you needed to hear that story.
yeah.
And so that's what I'm trying to say is it's like, oh my
I'm glad
gosh, so
you said
thank you for reminding that, because sometimes we don't recognize what is our thing or what comes easy because it's just part of who we are. And you're absolutely right in that moment, because I was just like, I just knew
that.
that
Yeah.
this is exactly what you needed to hear in that moment.
Yeah, yeah. And what we talked about, so this was kind of how the whole week went, is that was something that clearly I was working through. It has been something that I have never shared with
Mhm,
not many people. Actually, I would say my husband and my mom are the only two people,
mhm,
and my daughter that
mhm,
know my heart in this space. Intuitively, you're right. You just knew that this is
mhm,
what needed to be said. And what ended up happening is it helped to free me and
mhm,
be vulnerable and dive into this space with someone that I felt safe with,
mhm.
to be able to share my heart and to really
Yeah.
share completely what that was and what it felt like
Mhm.
and not have shame around it.
Yeah.
And from that, it just, like I said, it just elevated this conversation to where we were able to like really sift through some things that were heavy. And I didn't even realize how much it was affecting my life
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
how I was making decisions. And
Yeah.
let me tell you, that just like, as you know, just went on and on. It was like every day I was having another breakthrough of something
Yeah.
else
And
entirely.
yeah, and it's so interesting because you said that you're like, okay, we acknowledge something and release something heavy and we had breakthroughs. And I just want you guys to understand that like I have techniques that I use. Like there's something that I've had Dr. Erin Haskell on the show before where we talked about the E4 method. And I am able to, for example, get to the root cause of a limiting belief
Yes.
and neutralize it energetically and clear it and all this stuff. We didn't do any of that stuff. It was literally just us having a conversation, me intuitively leaning into conversations, her
Mhm.
having insight, her insight allowing her to release things to allow the next evolution of a deeper, cooler conversation that gave the insight to let go of past things that, and it wasn't anything heavy. It wasn't like sitting around bawling.
Oh,
It was like,
like we may have
it,
had
it was,
champagne as we were like doing this too, giving each other a
yeah, yeah,
cheers every
it
once
was
in a
like a
while.
titillating conversation. It was just like, "Oh my gosh, yes, me too, and this is what I think," and
Yeah.
then you would say like, "Oh my gosh, I've always wondered about that, but that makes so much sense," and now all of a sudden it unlocked something where you saw something so differently that now this became clearer. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying, like, it doesn't have to be painful.
That, I'm so glad. That's it right there, what you just said. It does not have to be painful because even though I shared that I was sobbing, it was not just tears of like trauma and all this stuff. It
Yeah,
wasn't. It was absolutely like a freedom. There was such love that was coming through.
yes,
And it was a feeling of absolute like joy every day.
yes,
It was
yes.
not a space of like rehashing all the
No.
crazy in my life. Because, like I said at the beginning of this podcast, I've gone through hard. I
Yeah,
have, and I want to validate that. And I
mhm,
absolutely have done some work around that.
yeah, yeah,
But this was like a freeing experience where
yeah,
I know you talk about the vibrational scale,
yeah, yeah.
and when we're operating at our highest vibration, it's the joy,
Mhm,
it's the love, it's the freedom. And
mhm.
that is what was being revealed on this
Yes,
trip every
yes.
single flipping day.
And it was
Every
almost as like you were just like you would use the love, joy, peace, gratitude, freedom, and you'd get to this place where all of a sudden things were revealed, and you're like, "No, I don't believe that anymore," or "No, I'm accepting this." And then it allowed for the next like level of what does that joy, love, peace, gratitude feel like, and then you experience that. And it was
yeah.
like this continuing of leveling up with you, like every single day. And then the cool thing is that when you got home, it didn't stop. It wasn't something that just, like, dissipated. It wasn't this high of vacation. It was a change in you.
Yeah.
I mean, how would you explain, when you got home?
Well, it's interesting because you had gone off to your next trip.
Yeah.
And here's another thing that I can just say because this will tie back to that. When I went on this trip, another thing that I was fearful of was being with these people because, like LaChelle said, she was one of 10 people that got chosen to be on this, that earned this trip. So
Mhm.
I'm already assuming, like, oh my gosh, these people are like the brainiacs. I mean, I got to be with the founder of this company. Like, so I was very intimidated because that was
Mhm.
part of my worth story. That was part of my confidence of I am not worthy to be here. I am
Mhm.
not smart enough to have a conversation and hold a conversation with these people. So by the time we left, I remember when she had originally told me, "Oh, I'm going to be jumping on a train because I got to get with my family to the next
Yeah.
thing."
Yeah.
And then I was in the shuttle going off with these people to the airport by myself. And so I remember before the
Yeah.
cruise, I remember thinking, "Oh gosh, like wonder how that's going to go." Immediately already thinking like these negative thoughts.
Yeah.
Girl, we had so much fun on that van.
Uh-huh.
I felt like I was just part of the family.
Yep.
I felt so much more grounded. I felt
Mhm.
just confident. I felt so much more confident. Like I was just like, yeah, I belong here. We're all a part of this. I wasn't,
Yeah.
it was such a different feeling. I could not wait to get home and to I didn't even know. I was like, I don't even know how I'm going to explain this to my husband. Like my husband is going to be like, what happened to you? Because I knew that I was coming back in a whole like literally operating in a completely different frequency.
Yeah.
And what has happened is that I feel like, first of all, I feel like I know I haven't grown by 3 or 4 inches, but I feel like I have. I
Yeah. Yeah.
feel like I am just operate like I'm just taller.
Hmm.
My posture has changed. My husband and the chemistry between us has been insane. Like I'm just like, okay, this is so interesting. I've been writing some things down because I'm like, wow, this is fascinating.
Yeah.
And I just smile more. I am just my voice, it's almost like, and I know for some, no, your audience is totally gonna get this because
Yeah.
I had to kind of talk to my audience about this because I had heard LaChelle, and I know you know this, I had heard several months ago a voice so loud and clear. And I've only heard
Mhm.
this 2 times in my life. And one time happened recently in the last couple of months. And it was use your voice. And I did not
Mhm.
know what that meant, but I heard it so loud and it stuck with me. It was very, very powerful.
Mhm.
And I know it was God speaking to me. I know that. And
Mhm.
I've been holding on to that and just going, okay,
Mhm.
I'm supposed to use my voice, but I don't know what that looks like. I
Yeah.
don't know. Maybe it's my podcast. Maybe it's this. Like I'm just throwing things all over the place.
Yeah.
I literally feel like my throat, whether you want to say like your throat chakra, your voice, whatever, but it's like something has been released and that like stronghold has just like
Mhm.
gotten to where I am not afraid to talk and I'm not afraid to speak my truth because I think I've been wrestling with that for a while.
Mm.
And now
Mhm.
I come back and I'm just like, no, because I know that I'm operating from a place of love. And I
Yes.
keep saying that, like, that's where I'm supposed to be. And there were some
Mhm.
things that happened, and I even told you some things that I clearly needed to like still work through, some
Mhm.
closure. I had a dream the night that I came back that
Yes.
back somebody in my life that was
Yes.
from the time I was 18 years old. And that is when I first started experiencing anxiety, and I didn't know it was an
Yes.
anxiety.
Yeah.
My doctor
Yeah.
said, "Oh, you have asthma. Let's give you an inhaler." All the things. Anyways, fast forward, have not thought about this person in
Yeah.
years, and he came in my dream, and I was able to fully release him in love. And I'm talking like I've forgiven him for some of this stuff, whatever. But I'm talking like a full, beautiful dream of like, okay, I want all the best for you. And
Mhm.
I am free of this. And I am not, anxiety is not who I am. And I, again,
Yes.
it's
Yes.
just,
Yes.
girl, it was wild. I texted you in the middle of the night going, God, please let her be on silence tonight.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I've got to text you this.
I
It's so
loved it so
crazy.
much. I mean, I forgot about that because I brought her 2 gifts. I brought her, well, actually 1, and then you went and bought the second book, but I gave you a book on abundance to read, and I
Yeah.
gave you a book on metaphysics to read while
Yeah.
we were there. It's, like, super simple. You were able to get through them super fast, and that's the thing. Oh my gosh. So there's so much. Okay. I know that you have something to do in a couple minutes. So you have to go. This is an impromptu interview that we have, and I want to invite you back because I want to have another conversation about the session that you and I just had 2 days ago
Yeah.
that
Yes.
allowed for another quantum leap. So it was just like, all right, you're like in the motion, girl. But as we wrap up this conversation, I would love for you to give somebody that's listening to this, like, what would you say to them? Any advice, any encouragement? What should you be able to say?
One of the messages that I just feel like I am supposed to just share, and I've been sharing it in my world on my Instagram and podcast, is that we all, I've always heard, I've always known that we all have a
Yeah,
purpose,
yeah.
but it's more than a purpose. we are meant to live a beautiful, favorite version of our life
Yes.
right here on this earth. Like, we are not meant to just hang out and think like this is it for us. I
Mhm.
am telling you, there is a reason why every single person is on this planet, and there is
Mhm.
work to that. And that is where I just feel like I want to shout that from the rooftops, that we are not meant to shrink. We are not meant to just accept life as what it is if it is not where you believe it should be.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
so I guess that's where and just to have hope in that, because and
Amazing.
to just be open to possibilities. I think
There
that
is a version of you that is already living your best life, that is full and vibrant and living your purpose, and you get to access that, as Noelle has just
yeah,
shared with you, and
access.
it's possible. I love it. I love you so much. Thank you for just like letting me get my Noelle fix. And I'm so glad that you are be able to share this really fun conversation with my audience. Noelle, thank you so much. You guys, I cannot wait to continue these conversations. So we'll have Noelle back here real soon, okay? And I will see you guys all next week. Bye everybody.
So much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. Each honest review helps me spiral up so that I can serve you even better. Whether you're feeling a lack of impact, income, or time freedom, or perhaps you're just ready for massive momentum in your business, let's chat. Apply for a breakthrough call so that you can gain clarity, identify what's holding you back, and make a plan to spiral up. Head on over to im-lifebydesign.com/breakthrough or access the link in the show notes. For immediate support, log into our community, the Better Club. We focus on inspiration, tactical guidance, and support. This is a community that wants to be better, do better, and have better in life and in business, and we're going to help you do the same. Let's spiral up, friends.